another morning down there by the bay. Producers in my earpiece, we're with you on today. Then I see a little hatchback sitting in the foam, and a very sheepish tourist who just wants to go home. I walk up with my notebook and salt spray in my hair, ask him what he's doing with his car parked over there. He's staring at the water like it's all a big mistake, and I'm trying not to laugh for the nation wide awake. I say, you know you can't drive on the beach, my friend, while the waves are creeping closer to the front wheel end. The whole country's watching, waiting for his line, and out of my mouth comes this throwaway rhyme. No dinner, no helmet, that's what I said, with the sun coming up and the shore ahead. No dinner, no helmet, standing in the spray, car in the sea on Australia's today. No dinner, no helmet, you're all over town, but I'm just doing crosses while your car goes down. No dinner, no helmet, what a way to see your high car starring on breakfast TV. Now the cops are on the rocks and the council's on the sand. Tow truck driver shaking his head, radio in hand. My producer's in my earpiece, can you stretch this out a bit? So I ask him one more question while the tide creeps to the kid. He tells me he was helping, thought he'd get back to the road, but the ocean had a different plan for him and his little load. I can hear the crew all laughing in the broadcast truck behind. I'm just trying to keep it steady while he's losing his mind. I say, you'll be down here for hours, mate, that's for sure, as the water kisses higher on the passenger door. I'm holding in a giggle as the cameras roll, knowing this little moment's gonna follow us all. No dinner, Mohammed, that line took off. Now the whole of Melbourne's having a laugh. No dinner, Mohammed, echo in the bay, car in the sea, replay after replay. No dinner, Mohammed, now I'm tagged online, every reel and clip with that one throwaway line. No dinner, Mohammed, when they talk of me, they say, you're the one from the car in the sea. I've covered storms and airports, floods and firelight, serious faces, long days, late nights, but down on that beach with the wind in my coat, I accidentally gave them their new favorite quote. No dinner, Mohammed, just another cross turned into a meme about a seaside loss. No dinner, Mohammed, it's absurd but true, the whole wild morning's now a song about you. No dinner, Mohammed, as the tide rolls in, I sign off smiling with the barely hidden grin. No dinner, Mohammed, that's the line they see, but I'll always remember what it felt like right there on TV. Right there on TV.
It gives me an enormous amount of pleasure to introduce someone who I met at a scene of the crime not all that long ago. Christine Ahern from the Today Show. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, we ran into one another in Swan Street when someone had done a firebombing. What an unusual thing to happen in Melbourne.
Oh, exactly. I was about to say every other morning could have been a firebombing, Neil.
Yes, but not at the end of my street like that one was.
Yes, it was in Swan Street. It was a pleasure to meet you.
And likewise, I'm sure. And thank you for doing this, because I would have thought that this is a bit like saying to an airline pilot, why don't you go flying on an aeroplane during your holidays? So I'm sorry to do this to you on the day off, but that's okay. We're going to hear from you and learn all about you. We better go back to Elwood Beach and explain that song, because you've got to be pretty famous to have a song made about you. But when you've got two written about you, you obviously must be really, really famous. Take us back to Elwood Beach.
Well, can I tell you that this one cross, you do so many live crosses in the morning for, the Today Show, and I've been at the Today Show for 10 plus years, that it's this random morning that has managed to be my most famous live cross, which has currently got more than 4 million views on Instagram, counting. And of course, Mr. Artificial writing that wonderful song that we just heard. But how it happened was it was a hot day. It was a hot, one of those hot days in January. I think it was Australia Day. And we decided to do, the hot weather cross. Not only was it going to be around 40 degrees, but, bushfire warnings. And I said, well, let's go to Elwood Beach, because there's a lot of people out there early going for a swim and we can chat to them. I meet my cameraman down there, so he goes in his own car. And anyway, I got a phone call from him just when I was about 4 minutes away on Beach Road. And he said... he gave me a text message, actually, that Siri read out, and it was, some idiot is bogged on the beach. And I thought, what's he talking about? Anyway, I soon found out when I arrived that there was I think it was a Land Cruiser that was indeed bogged on Elwood Beach.
Was our friend Mohammed, what's a nice way of putting this, under the influence of any alcoholic beverage, for example, that found him driving like that, allegedly?
Allegedly. Well, what had happened is I went up to him straight away. We were the only ones there, and I was like, "G'day, mate." And look, from the start, he proved to be very entertaining, very friendly, but his car was really bogged in the beach. And look, because I was trying to gather whether we could do an interview with him or not, because you can't do an interview with someone who's, say, extremely under the influence. And no, he's fine. So I did first of all, a pre-recorded interview with him, and, the time is ticking away to when we're having to go live. So this is all happening very quickly, and I'm trying to explain to my boss back in Sydney, hey, there's a guy bogged on Elwood Beach, and he's like, what do you mean? We've got this cross about how it's hot weather, 40 degrees, bushfire warnings. And I said, look, and, we've only got mere minutes to figure this all out. And I said, look, I've got a pre-recorded interview with him, which is all good and fine. But, I'm just going to see how things go. And the police had arrived by that stage, and they had chatted to him, and they were finding the whole thing amusing. And then it was one of these split-second decisions. I was doing a live cross and saying, look, yes, it is going to be a very hot day, but let's just flick the camera around and see this four-wheel drive that's got bogged on Elwood Beach, obviously not allowed to drive on Elwood Beach. And the driver is a chap by Mohammed, and I just thought, look, let's put him on live, because I had done that pre-interview, so I kind of knew he was okay. And then the interview, because beforehand... we had said we had made a bet that if he gets the four-wheel drive out, I would buy him dinner.
Right.
Then in the interview, he said we made a bet, and I, of course, said the line, "No dinner, Mohammed. We're not doing dinner." And that went viral. But to your point, Neil, as to whether he was under the influence, this obviously went on for a number of hours. A tow truck arrived. They turned away. They said, "But nothing we can do." So they had to get a council tractor. The tractor got him out. Once he got behind the wheel, that is when Victoria Police could breathalyse him. I didn't know the rule. They breathalyzed him and allowed him to drive off. So he was obviously zero.
Okay, so he's just really, really lost by the sound of things.
I had many chats to him. From those chats, and he was from interstate. He was from New South Wales, and it was a hire car.
Yeah.
From the chats, I think he had tried to impress a couple of women that were on the beach late at night because it was such a hot night.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes more sense. So your entire career of how many years in journalism has been defined by someone trying to pick you up for a dinner date on Elwood Beach. Let's take it back to the start and celebrate and understand something of your career. You're a Queenslander, I'm told.
I am a Queenslander, born and bred in Queensland. I think a lot of people don't know that, but I wanted to be a journalist from a very early age. And how I ended up in Victoria is that why I was around journalists a lot when I was young was because my dad was the Queensland Premier, Mike Ahern.
Oh, okay. Got the same surname. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So we had journalists around the house all the time, and they were lovely, and they had lots of spirited interviews with Dad, as you can imagine. Dad was he was never disparaging of the journalists. He always said, this is a really important career. This is a really important job that they've got to do. And I remember when they were camped outside the house because, there was some political scandal. I don't think you can do that these days, is camp outside the Premier's house, but back then you did it all the time. And my dad used to send us down, because it's Queensland hot and very hot, my dad used to send us down with water and biscuits.
Okay, that's nice of him.
Waiting in the sun. So we had this, good relationship, even though they gave Dad a, hard time sometime in the Courier Mail. But when I started my journalism career, you can imagine being the daughter of a premier trying to start out at something like the ABC, and he was a National Party premier as well. It just wasn't, I was just getting too much grief, I think, from everyone. This is Mike Ahern's daughter, this is Mike Ahern's daughter. So Dad said, look, I think if you're going to start your journalism career, you've got to move into state where, the surname is not such a big deal. And at that time, the ABC had kind of set up their cadetships in Tasmania. That's where I went.
And you wouldn't have noticed any difference in the climate from Brisbane or the Sunshine Coast, I think you were, weren't you?
I didn't even know what a puffer jacket was in Tasmania. I was like, what are these puffy things? And then, look, I was there for 2 years, and I made so many wonderful friends. I was very homesick. I was only 20 at the time. But it was in Tasmania that, of course, being a girl who grew up on rugby league, it was Tasmania that I discovered this thing called Aussie Rules football, because they're mad, obviously, about it in Tassie.
Yes.
And
well, they're just mad, but mad about that as well.
Exactly. So after falling in love with Aussie Rules and I wanted to be a sports reporter, they said, look, if you want to cover this and other sport, there's only one place you've got to be, and that's Melbourne. Well,
recognising that I'm opening a door here for all sorts of answers, who do you follow in the footy?
Brisbane Lions.
Now, I've always said you are an informed and intelligent woman, and that just underlines it.
Look, a lot of people think it is because of the Fitzroy connection. They don't know I'm from Queensland, but no, Brisbane Bears to Brisbane Lions. We knew the Brisbane Bears a little bit in Queensland. They used to get beaten by 100-odd points every weekend.
Yep.
No, when I had to follow a team, it was squarely Brisbane Lions. And to give your listeners an idea of how little we knew about AFL back then, this is in, the 90s, that my teacher at school was actually Ian Nankervis, my science teacher.
Oh, very, very well known in this part of the world, in Geelong.
No, we had absolutely no idea who we were. Mr. Knackers. And it was only till one of my friends brought in a footy card with him on it, and we were like, Mr. Knackers, is this you? What's this all about? So that's how little we knew about AFL growing up.
Well, today is the 13th anniversary of the passing of the great Jim Keys from Master's Apprentices, and he wrote the words to the Brisbane Lions song. And at the time, he and his wife Karen were, I think she was one of 6 Melbourne-based Brisbane Bears members. So it's grown a little since then. I, in fact, do have the Fitzroy connection. I took out a membership in 1983, and it continues to this day. So, it's kind of in the blood in my part of the world. You can imagine the enormous distress in my life to have 2 grandsons who barrack for Collingwood.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, it doesn't help that their mother and uncle are cousins of Isaac Quainer, who plays for Collingwood. So every time I do something like buy a Brisbane Lions football, he turns up with a pair of Scott Pendlebury's boots or something. I'm fighting a losing battle.
I don't know what you do when Brisbane plays Collingwood.
Oh, we normally win, so I enjoy that. And you can imagine that up until recently, you obviously know where I live now, but up until January I lived in Geelong for 10 years. Can you imagine how excited the folk around here were in late September last year when I was the one wearing the Brisbane stuff around town.
I wouldn't have gone downtown with your Brisbane Lions scarf, only because I saw, when Geelong obviously broke through for that first grand final
Yeah.
years ago, I was a reporter stationed down there.
Oh, okay.
That town, right, they're going to rip this town apart. They're a passionate lot down in Geelong, so you are very brave.
Or stupid, as the case may be. And funnily enough, I no longer live in Geelong. I wonder whether there's a connection there. So you found yourself in Tassie, and then an opportunity arose to come to the mainland, presumably?
Yeah, with the ABC. By that stage, I was firmly a sports reporter, and a job came up with ABC Radio in sport in Melbourne. So, when you're young, you're like, yeah, well, I'd love to go to Melbourne. So off I trot to Melbourne. I thought to myself, wow, this will be a great town for a year, and then I'll move back to Brisbane. Obviously, that never happened. I just fell in love with the city, fell in love with its love of sport.
Yep.
Someone who loves sport, there is just no other city to be. The fact that everybody's weekend is consumed by sport, the Australian Open, the Grand Prix, there's just so much sport in everybody's veins, and it was just like a homecoming. I just was like, wow, this is a city after my own heart. So, yeah, I was I was the weekend sports presenter at the ABC for many years, and, well, not many years, I was trying to think, maybe 3, I think.
Yep.
And then an opportunity came up with Channel 9 Melbourne, and I thought, well, we've got to try commercial television once, and we'll give this a go.
And you're still there 20-odd years later.
I think I came over because I recently celebrated 20 years at Channel 9. And, they did a lovely thing on the Today Show. And I said, it's funny, I came over on a 6-month contract working with Tony Jones, and I thought, I wonder if I'll see out these 6. And, so it goes to show. I thought, if it doesn't work, I can always go back to the ABC, go back to Brisbane. But, no, it's been a wonderful career at Channel 9 and still going.
And whilst you've no doubt still got a fairly strong interest in sport, you're I'm going to use a clumsy word here, and by no means am I downgrading it, you're more of a general reporter on Today?
Yeah, well, I mean, the career took me in many different ways. I was doing sports at Channel 9 and really liking it. And then the opportunity came up to do the Today Show, which is the breakfast television show. And I thought, and I had done general news in my time, which is, covering everything from crime to courts to politics. And the executive producer at the time, I said, look, I really love this sport caper. I'm not sure about going back to general news and doing the, main news of the morning in main news, everything. And he said, look, there'll still be plenty of opportunities for you to do sport, which there was, because sport often is the main thing happening this morning in Melbourne, whether it be the AFL Grand Final or the Australian Open. So I said yes to that, and I just loved it. I loved every morning waking up and covering the big thing that was happening in Melbourne. And then I think it was about 2015, the opportunity came up to be the LA correspondent for Channel 9, which is something I never thought ever was in my realm of possibility. But the big boss called me up and said, we want you to do this. We think... we think you'll be good at it. And I originally said no. I think I just was a bit too overwhelmed and moving to another country. I said no. And then I had to think about it, and I rang him back and said, okay, I'll do it. So I packed up, went to LA for 2 years, and that was one of the best experiences of my life, because you're, all of a sudden you're at the White House, you're at the United Nations, and then you're at a tornado, then you're outside Britney Spears' house. It was just this wonderful experience. Obviously, politics in America is interesting at the best of time. I had Barack Obama as the president when I was there, so wasn't quite as interesting as having Donald Trump as a president, but still a historic presidency. And then after 2 years, I came back to Melbourne, and I've been at the Today Show ever since. But the way it works at the moment, I think we're all doing more because of the media landscape. So I've been lucky enough to work for 60 Minutes a current affair, do stories for 6 p.m. But yeah, my bread and butter is still the Today Show in the morning, meeting people like you at firebombings, Neil.
And what an enormous thrill that must have been for you, you know. You've been outside Britney Spears' house, you've met with Barack Obama. Oh, and I met Neil at a firebombing. It's right up there, isn't it? So
It's a real highlight.
if we can get a bit personal for a moment, run us through what a normal day looks like for Christine Ahern, because I've got a funny feeling if you can turn up looking that good at 6 o'clock, there's a bit of work goes into preparation of story and presentation and all that kind of stuff. How does the day look?
Oh, it's a lot of lighting. Any aspiring reporters out there, you have to be always very nice to your cameraman. It's always in the lighting. But it was, my alarm goes off at about 3:15. And that is when I go through all my emails, I look at the Herald Sun, I look at the Age, look at the Geelong Addy. They sometimes have great stories, you know, that the others don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have an overnight cameraman, and that is something that Channel 7, 9, 10 and the ABC, we all pay for this one cameraman, and he's, for want of a better terms, the night crawler, and he'll go to all the events that have taken place overnight, from everything from firebombings to murders to, you know, fans gathering at Federation Square to watch the soccer, whatever. And so we'll call him, or usually puts out an email of what he's been to. And after doing all of that, so sometimes it's really obvious, sometimes you have to really go through everything. I then have a word to my executive producer, and we decide on what I'm going to go to, because there's only one of me. So sometimes there might be 2 or 3 things that are worth going to, but at the end you have to make a decision. And so I'll decide what I'm going to, call my cameraman up and say, or text him and say, hey, you know, we're headed to Elwood Beach for a whole weather cross. And we meet each other, and the first hit, sometimes if it's a big story, we might have to go to air at 5 because they do a news bulletin 5 to 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
The show starts at 5:30, so that's our first hit at 5:30. So it kind of is a bit of the race against the clock to get ready, put on, we just kind of, sometimes you have a bit more time than others to do your hair and makeup. Otherwise, for instance, the couple of weeks ago where there was the Geelong oil refinery fire,
Yep.
got an hour to travel, so you know you've got no time. You just have to basically race and put your hair back, race in the car, and do the makeup on the way.
Yep.
And then we're away.
Yeah, wow. I'm talking to Christine Ahern, folks, from Channel 9, and also best known, I guess, for her work on the Today program currently, but has been on the ABC and been in LA and all sorts of stuff. So we're just talking about Christine's career. So when you are on site, let's use that example of the one in Swan Street. I came rushing around the corner, being out for a walk, and introduced myself to a lady who looked very similar to you in the dark, but wasn't you. She pointed me out, and we had a quick chat. You are going to air, every half hour or so for a few minutes?
So usually it's every hour. However, so the only half-hour one is 5:30 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then after it's 5:30, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then maybe on to the 11:30 news. Now, we will go to air every half hour. We have a news bulletin every half hour, and we will go every half hour if it is a major breaking story like the oil refinery fire, which was still very much an active situation when we were there. We were getting constant updates on, you know, what this meant for locals in the area, what this meant for workers, what this meant for fuel and fuel supply. So in situations like that, we'll ramp it up and go to air every half hour. But normally, say for a normal firebombing...
Just your average firebombing in Melbourne?
Yes, every hour.
Okay. So, you know, you're on air for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. What do you do in between times to, on that morning, keep warm? You're able to get a coffee, or what are you doing?
It varies. Like some really busy mornings, no, you've got no time because you're looking for CCTV, you're interviewing,
okay, yep.
You know, you're calling police. But on other slower mornings where, you know, the event has happened the night before and there's nothing there anymore, you're sleeping in your car, or you're definitely, my cameraman and I, we rotate mornings of trying to find, you know, the coffee in the area. So sometimes perhaps when you're deciding on a location, if it's not active, if it's not a firebombing or something like that, and you're trying to decide on a location, I perhaps might decide on a location that's close to a cafe that I might know. And yeah, we certainly get ourselves a coffee. And, I have great colleagues working from other channels. Yes, we're competitive. We're always trying to get, the first interview, but we're great mates. And as you introduce yourself to Kate from the ABC, she's lovely. And my Channel 7 counterpart, Macca, Andrew McCormack, he's lovely too. So we're competitive, but in between crosses, we sometimes just catch up and have a chat.
And it's not necessarily, that particular morning it was really cold. It's not as though you're sitting in a warm place. I guess the car's warm.
Yeah, that's it. In between, on those really cold mornings, I wear snow boots because often you don't have time to get in the car to warm up. So 5 o'clock till, say, 10 o'clock, you're out in the elements. So, yeah, thermal socks, snow boots, thermals, you have to really rug up because you just don't have an opportunity to warm up. Thankfully, other mornings you do have an opportunity to get in the car and get in warmth for at least half an hour just to kind of, get a little bit warm. But that's where Melbourne is a really tough city to do this job. I know that when my boss from Sydney came down and we did an outside broadcast where the hosts come down and they were outside, for the 3.5, 4 hours. And he said to me, I'm going to increase your clothing. Why? And he said, because I can't believe you do this every morning.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, like it's very different to doing it in a place like Queensland where you just don't get those biting mornings that you do here.
Oh, particularly given you've got Queensland genes. I mean, it's if you were born in Tasmania, you might think that standing on Swan Street in Richmond on a cool morning is not too bad. But when you've been brought up in Queensland, it's a bit of a struggle, I would have thought.
Well, thankfully I had those 2 years in Tasmania.
Yeah, it helps you a bit.
But I don't think you ever get used to, and everyone knows those mornings I'm talking about, just those mornings that just don't get above 5 degrees.
Yeah.
And sideways rain, and you sit there cursing, I'm moving from Melbourne. And then, you go to the footy on the weekend and you go, oh, it's the best city in the world.
So you finished for the day at, let's say lunchtime or thereabouts. I'm assuming there's a bed calling, come and have a snooze. Is that how the day wears out?
Well, you have to be very disciplined. Yes, I usually try and do some kind of exercise, a gym session or something right on midday.
Yep.
I'm coming home, and so come home, quickly get changed and go. That's about the only time you can do it. Otherwise, you're just, going to be too tired by the time the afternoon happens. So I come home, do that, and at midday I try and book something in, whether it's Pilates or something. I have to be there at midday. Do that. Have some lunch, and then here's the key: is yes, you have a nap, but you've got to set your alarm for no more than 45 minutes. Now, sometimes I'm successful at sticking to that, sometimes I'm not. But if you go for more than 45 minutes nap during the day, you feel terrible. So that's the key.
I'm a 20 minutes man.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I quite often when I'm working from home, I hope my boss is not listening, if I've got a gap between meetings, I'll just have a 20-minute snooze, set the alarm, and away you go.
Yeah, I wish I could do that, Neil. You've got to give me the secret to that because I'm flat out trying to keep it to the 45 minutes.
Well, apparently 20 minutes is like 25 minutes is worse than 20, if that makes sense. It's harder it's something to do with, I'm going to say circadian rhythm, and I'm sure that's not the right word, but it sounds impressive if I do that.
It sounds scientific.
As we get towards the end of our time together, I've enjoyed this conversation. It's been good fun. Tell us, sort of a few, these sort of questions you always get asked. If you had the opportunity to go and sit down across from someone and interview them, obviously keeping Chris Fagan out of the conversation for a moment, who would it be?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I haven't actually ever been asked that before.
Oh, hello.
I would love to. Are they dead? Are they alive or they?
Up to you entirely.
Oh, wow.
And I know it's hard because obviously the answer to that question would have been me, but now that you've got to choose someone else.
I have, so that's off the table. Oh, I'd love to say someone really impressive. I just can't think of someone at the moment. I'm going to have to loop back. I think, You kind of, aren't you, you're torn always between, you know, a great celebrity
Yep.
you'd actually love to have a chat with, and then someone who's probably done amazing things for the world that you'd love to sit down and have a chat with. But I actually can't think of some, because there's too many.
I reckon mine would be Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney would be great.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest I'm a little older than you. So when I was growing up in the late 60s, you know, the Beatles were a big thing. And then in the 70s, of course, he then went with Wings. And one of the great things I've, you know, on my CV is I've actually sung Let It Be with Paul McCartney.
Wow.
Well, with 70,000 other people at Marvel Stadium, but that doesn't matter how many others were there. I was singing with Paul McCartney, and that's all that matters.
Exactly. I totally agree, and I think he feels the same way as. But I think, look, I reckon you're right. Someone who's had so much fame, and you know what just came to mind?
Mm-hmm.
I've just watched the Kylie Minogue documentary
Yes.
on Netflix, and she is one person I've not been able to interview yet, and geez, I'd love to have a dinner with her. I just think she's amazing.
You might have to get a taller stool for her. She's very small, apparently.
She is. I just found in that documentary.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
I thought it was so good, and she just went through so much. You know, the things that we wouldn't have to, that pop stars wouldn't probably have to deal with today. You know, she got asked so many personal questions when she was young. She also got labelled with that singing budgie, and you know, she was so successful. It was a real tall poppy situation. But one thing I took away from that whole documentary is, you know, so many pop stars these days lose it, right? You know, they come out and you know, they might say something on social media, or you know, just lose their temper. Kylie Minogue, through all that, all she went through, all the press intrusion when she was battling cancer, she remained classy throughout. I don't know how she did it.
Yeah, and I think in part, you know, it came through that she has a very strong and supportive family. I think that is really important in that situation, to have someone, like people around you who are on your side.
Can I say a bit of a story about that?
Sure.
The cameraman at Channel 9 was actually Brendan Minogue.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
And he became a great friend, and you know, whenever Kylie's in concert, you know, we will go and see Brendan there. But yeah, I have to say that when in the car, sometimes he got a phone call from Danielle or Kylie, and all of us reporters were always so excited that ever happened.
And I love the way you've dropped in Danielle as distinct from Danny, like we'd all call her, because she's obviously a person, not just a celebrity.
Well, he never called her Danny.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
But he's just a lovely guy. And so I've never actually met Kylie in person. I have met Danny, but I just because of how lovely and supportive that family is, to your point, Nick. Yeah, I think one of those reasons she's so grounded is because of this wonderful family she's got around her.
Well, you should be so lucky to meet her at some point. And, you know, going back, obviously, there's an event that happened at Elwood Beach. Some of your more memorable stories?
One of my most memorable story with the Today Show, it both involve soccer players, which is very pertinent right now because we have the World Cup, is I got flown to Madrid to play soccer with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, you've trumped my singing with Paul McCartney with 70,000 others.
It was amazing, and one of the highlights was that, of course, you know, the tradition is that when you say hello to anyone, you've got to kiss them. Yes. Cheeks.
Yes.
So I made sure that I kept on going and having to reintroduce myself. Ronaldo. This was when he was playing for Madrid, of course.
Yes.
He was such a good sport.
Yeah. Only
topped by playing soccer with David Beckham. And he came to Melbourne. This was a while ago. This is about, I'm not sure if people remember, I don't know, over 10 years ago.
Yeah, I remember him being here, yep.
He was just amazing. That he went to a school. They went crazy, as you can imagine. And he couldn't wipe the smile off his face. But I thought for someone, particularly him, so famous, so world famous, he was so down to earth. He was so nice and so lovely. And, you know, we were filming this funny kind of clip for the Today Show. And at the end of it, I said, look, I don't know if you know, but it's an Australian protocol that at the end of every interview, the interviewee has to give the reporter a kiss on the cheek. He said, oh, well, if it's protocol. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately for him, Laurie Oakes was next in line. And I say it in a caring, loving and supportive way, you understand.
Very lovely.
Christine, what an absolute thrill it is to talk to you. Of course, I will be able to look back on my radio career when people ask me, career in inverted commas, ask me, you know, who the high point was. Talking to Christine Ahern on Chewing the Fat will be right up there near the top of the list.
Oh, you're very kind, Neil. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you this morning.
Thank you. Let's keep in touch. We'll get you back another time and chat some more.
Thanks, Neil. Have a great day.
Thanks, Christine. There she is, Christine Ahern from Channel 9's Today program. What a champion. We are going to hear a song that we probably should have talked to Christine about, but we ran out of time. A song that came out of a comment that she made on a radio program, apparently. Artificial Intelligence caught up with that and created a song called Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Here it is.
Christine Ahern, live at 6. Channel 9 with a morning fix. Blazers sharp and hair just right. Feet in the city, it's fear of daylight. Good morning, folks, she calmly begins with breaking news and borrowed sins. A string of thefts, a trail of lies. Stay tuned for truth between the lines. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Serving it fresh at the 6 o'clock time. Every headline dressed to shine, plated up neat on Channel 9. Take what you want, just stay in line. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. She picks the stories, trims the fat, adds a little fear and leaves it at that. A face, a name, a street, a spark, something to follow home in the dark. There's a dealer caught in a passing frame, a council clerk with a different name, a stolen car, a lover's fight. Cut to ads, she's always right. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Serving it fresh at the 6 o'clock time. Every headline dressed to shine, plated up neat on Channel 9. Take what you want, just stay in line. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Off there she drops the practice grin, lets the quiet of the studio in. Funny thing, she says it's true. Half these stories come to you from whispers low and backroom deals, from polished lies and spinning wheels. The line between the crime and show is thinner than they'll ever know. Some stories burn, some disappear, some get louder year by year. Some are truth and some are spin, some don't make it further in. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Serving it fresh at the 6 o'clock time. Pick your fear from the nightly line, all cut to fit in the runtime. Take your fill, it's all by design. It's Christine Ahern and the Buffet of Crime. Goodbye, stay safe, she says on cue. The screen goes dark, but not the view. 'Cause somewhere past the closing chime, she's lining up tomorrow.